G'day guys, Mac here from the Outer Circle. I'm here with Kat.
Howdy.
And Tim.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So this is Tim from the Eye of Horus Podcast. Tim, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, alright. Oh, first of all, I've got a secret message for Kat, which I'll translate in cat talk, which is, this is from Michael too. Meow, 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 meow. Anyway, I'm sure you understand what that means, Kat.
Hot, man, very hot.
Michael and I record the Eye of Horus Podcast, which is a 30K podcast all about the Horus Heresy, books and stuff. I'm not really that into the books and the novels and things, but I'm definitely into the modeling, gaming, narrative side of things, and also the basically the background from the actual proper Horus Heresy book, like the Forge World books. They're the main things that I'm into. I like painting a bit, but mainly I'm into mainly just painting like huge big armies. So I've got about 10,000 points of Mechanicum, and my main thing, and I know Mac fucking probably hates this because he loves like bespoke models and spending a lot of time painting shit, and I know Cat does as well. As evidenced by their fucking sick painted armies, which everyone's seen, I'm sure. But I like to just sort of batch paint shit, and I usually do all of my painting is done about 2 weeks out from an event. So whatever the fastest technique is, airbrushing, oils, doing some like line highlighting, sponging, all that sort of shit, that's what I'm into. And like I feel like my main thing is as long as an army sort of looks good overall, because when you're walking around, you see it on a table, you're looking at the whole army, and so I try to build an army around a theme. Like I don't just chuck in like one of everything. Like I try and have definitely a themed army. So it's like aesthetically pleasing. It's all sort of like in matching colors and makes some logical sense. Yeah, that's my sort of gaming philosophy, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still ranting. Any input?
I think you greatly underestimate the pace at which I paint. It is not a slow process. I'm a very, very, very fast painter.
Alright, well, I don't know how you can paint that fast, because your shit looks fucking amazing. Like if I was trying to paint shit like that, it would I wouldn't even finish. I would just I would just go like fucking Donkey Kong and just run up on my roof and throw barrels at people.
Mate, one word: sweatshop. I employ people from Pirate Island. And they work cheap, man. You can get like as many fucking people from Pirate Island as you can afford on like $6, right? You put them up, you just get like a big chest of drawers like on Seinfeld, and you put like padding in each of the drawers, and that's where they sleep of a night. And of a day, they just sit around at like those white tables you can get from Bunnings. They're like $30. They cost more than the labor, right? You have like one guy who does base coating, one guy who like puts the red on them, and then another guy who does like the trim. And then I come along and I put the oil paint on them, the wash, and then I tell people that I did all the work because I did some of the work.
You take the photos, take a selfie with them. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, click, clack, ding dong, and Charlie Chang, I call them.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Like when you talk about it like that, like although it's in a comedic fucking way, like if you think about like, man, I did do the work of like 3 fucking foreign slaves.
Except foreign slaves get paid, whereas I'm spending money.
Yeah, that's right. You're paying money to sit there and waste more of your time painting sick shit, but it is definitely worth it. Like, especially you guys. Like, you're like, I held the, we held the Geigenheim event in Brisbane here recently, and you guys both showed up with fucking sick-looking armies. I didn't know anything about Cat's painting. I don't think I'd even met you before, Cat, before you came.
You have, yeah, you have. You met me in 2011. I brought my Nurgle army to an event in Brisbane from Townsville. You weren't actually you weren't at the event. Neither was Michael, but you guys did come and talk to us afterwards. Brody was there. Ty was there. Yeah, it was a long time ago, man.
Oh shit! All right, well that's still good. Like I was hoping I'm glad you didn't say like, oh, don't you remember when I played you in a game and like we talked and like.
Remember I saved your wife from that burning house? I fucking got you out of that poor situation. Like I got you your job. Fucking What the hell? I've been here.
No, sorry, not ringing any
Christmas
bells.
every day. What has he done for me lately? I got you on this fucking show.
Yeah,
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, we were talking about that
An
earlier.
African
It's,
child together, like,
getting on this show is the worst publicity possible award. So, you know,
yeah,
well done
good.
on achieving it. From here, it's all downhill.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, what have I done? What am my career, my podcasting career?
Yeah,
man,
you watch. It's gonna
$1,000,000.
be the opposite of growth. You're gonna slowly watch every episode of your podcast decline in viewers because of that one time you were on our show.
Wait, this is that guy from the fucking Scrub Down? Jesus.
Oh,
This
those dudes swear all the time. They put swear warnings in at the start of their episodes, and then I go on and listen anyway, and they swear. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
And then when I make it out like I'm a victim, apparently people don't take me seriously for some fucking reason. Fucking idiots. Anyway, getting on to that, how did you get into your podcasting? Like, what happened? Were you just like, there's a market for this, no one's doing 30K, and you know, back? Were you just, what made you go? Because it's obviously it's a learning experience, and you would have spent a bit of money in some of the equipment there. So yeah, why did you decide to make the jump?
Oh, that's a good question, Kat. Okay, so, well, number one, and we always say this because it's true, it was just like purely for selfish reasons, and it was mainly because we had played 30K at John Sutton. We played it at John Sutton. Remember that time we played in John Sutton's Tommy? No,
Right on his
John
face.
Sutton, John Sutton had held an event called the Emperor's Legions. And it was a 10-man event on 4x4s with 1,000-point armies. And this was like it was only, I guess, 3 years ago, 2014, I guess it was. Yeah, but it was the fucking wilderness for 30K, man. Like, I literally, the only things that they had for Mechanicum were the Castellax, Thalax, and they had that, like, weird, like, snail, you know, the Magos Dominus with the snail head, the giant head.
Yeah, real ugly looking cunt.
Slug guy, yeah. I didn't like that model, so I actually had to just like scratch built my own out of like a can wraith, like made an awesome like Archmagos Reductor. Because as soon as I read the background for the Auto Reductor, I was just like, holy shit, this is the greatest fucking thing ever. Because they were like Siege Masters, which I really love fucking Siege Warfare. Like, I'm a huge fan of Siege Warfare. Just like in a historic, you know, just reading about it and that sort of thing. And so, you know, I was pretty drawn to the Iron Warriors, but Graham McNeil managed to successfully just destroy them in my eyes, and I just couldn't do them. But then when I read, like, I think it must have been book, I think it was book one with, where it had Caleb Decima, right? And I was just like, holy shit, the Auto Reductor, they're just like a specialized Mechanicum siege order, that's fucking the bomb. So, and when it was talking about the Thalax being their main thing, like Thalax, are just one of the fucking greatest ideas. I don't know who over there at Forge World like thought up the idea of Thalax, but you should give yourself a raise. Just go to HR and tell them that Tim from the Eye of Horus said I can have a raise, because like Thalax are they're the shit, man. They're so good. Like, just taking the brain and nervous system out of someone who's dying and then just being like, discard the fucking meat chassis, bring in the robo chassis, and just putting them into this like armored fucking robo thing where they're just in constant agony and they're just like, rah! It's like one of the most metal fucking things ever. And then the Auto Reductor just use them to just because they can just mass produce them, just send them to just mass storm, and they're so huge and tough. They've got a jetpack, for fuck's sake. It's like, oh, nice wall, dickhead, see ya. Just jetpack over the top of it. They've just got like huge chain bayonets for like just slaughtering crew. You can imagine them like getting inside like a fortification and just being like, hey, nice crew on this gun, and then slaughtering them all, just like cutting through the humans' pellets and that sort of shit.
I don't know if I'm guessing you've seen it, because most of it, we like similar movies. RoboCop 2, the other RoboCop in it, Kane's character, who's like mad drug lord. Like, that's who I imagine is like Thalax and Castellax. That's what I picture him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're coming with me, Kane. And then he just like pulls it there. That's one of the best scenes, but when he just pulls the other RoboCop down and they fall I'm just on the driveway out the front of the building.
Yeah.
Like, what? All these cops are like, what the fuck? And he just pulls out the like just a brain and all these wires and whatever the fuck in the nervous system, I guess, and just dashes it like an egg on the ground. Just fuck you. Yeah, fucking awesome. Anyway, so to answer your question, Kat, so John Sutton held that event, 1,000 points. It was fucking incredible. It was like really super awesome tables. Like everyone had fully painted shit, and I was just like, holy fuck, this is the future of gaming. This is definitely the future of gaming. Like, just add some narrative and shit to this, some more narrative and stuff, and like have more players and have 2 teams and that sort of thing. And this shit's gonna fucking be just like the bomb. So there was a few other people sort of working around the country as well. You know, Andrew Hollis down in ACT had already started sort of like working on some campaign systems. There was a few sort of people playing around, and then I think maybe Adam Wiseman up here ran the Inferno event, the first Inferno, which we call Inferno Zero, which was held at the fucking at the Games Workshop Battle Bunker over at Mount Gravatt, which is just like the biggest zoo ever. Like, while I was there was people playing like on must have been a 6x6, because it was like 3 wide each way. You know, those Games Workshop those hollow tables where you roll dice with them, and you're just like, oh, I've got a fucking migraine after listening to that shit. What are they called? Realm of Rattle. Yeah, Realm of Rattle, Lords. These kids, there was 4 kids, right? They were each playing. Chaos Army, completely unpainted. I think there was like probably D6 painted models on the table. Each of them had at least 3,000 points or 4,000 points of unpainted shit, and they were playing like a 4-way free-for-all. And I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? And literally they were just shoving forward these huge pile of unpainted things. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was just the biggest fucking zoo. Anyway, that was Adam Wiseman ran that. It was Inferno Zero. And I was just like, yes, this is fucking good. Like Danny was it, like our friend Danny. There was probably a few other people you guys know. Andrew Hollis came up for it. It was a fucking sick event too. And then I think maybe the proper Inferno one had started. We had that, and then Michael and I were like, yeah, time's right. Let's do a 30K podcast. Like, we need to fucking get a community going. Because one of the things that what we'd been doing before that was playing Warhammer Fantasy, which Games Workshop murdered. So we were like full into Warhammer Fantasy, probably played like fucking probably 6 events or 7 events or something like that a year, like went down to CanCon, played all these fantasy events, like competitive fantasy. It was good. Like, it was a totally different scene to what 30K is. But we kind of after playing that competitive scene, we sort of wanted to change. But one of the things about that scene that was made it really strong, especially in Australia, was the podcast. So there was like like the Dwellers Below. There was a bunch of them. The Dwellers Below was like one of the main ones, and there was a Watchtower. There was one out of Newcastle, which I fucking can't remember for some reason. But they were all really good. They were all really entertaining, and you got to hear what was going on in that sort of meta. So you'd be like, oh, what's happening down in Sydney? And they would talk about events and what people were running and what they were running, that sort of thing. And sort of because you could listen to that, you'd know what other people were running out of the States, and you might travel down there to play in a big event, that sort of thing. And Michael and I were just like, fuck, we need to what if we did a 30K version of that, where the main focus is just trying to get the community together, we'll read out people's emails, shout out events at the end. We'll go through legions and talk about the legions and how people can sort of get into the game by just, there's a difference between just going like, hey, this game's fucking awesome, and just talking about high level strats and shit, which is basically like what Infinity is, right? That's what Infinity podcasts are like, or something like that. And there's a difference between that and sort of going through each list and talking about the background for the army and stuff, and then when we do a Legion review, for example, the main thing is we talk about the background, just get people fired up about fucking awesome fucking shit that Astartes can do, just killing hundreds of men on their own and that sort of thing, spitting acid and shit. And then we go through some lists and that sort of thing, because a lot of people, we get tons of lists. That's another thing we do, is sort of I wouldn't say professionally, but we just try and we vet lists, basically. We do a thing called Fluff Whack, where people send in a list and we go through it and tell them sort of what we think about it. And usually it's a couple of things to sort of toughen it up, because a lot of people, it's still a fucking game. Although people talk about non-competitive game, but there's a difference between just non-competitive. How do I fucking say it? There's a difference between non-competitive and just nonsensical. I guess that's probably it. There's a difference between non-competitive and nonsensical. If people just you want to have a sort of a balanced. I think a balanced list is sometimes more competitive than a sort of glass hammer sort of weird list. So that's usually the angle that we come from. Like, well, you can look, major weakness here is some anti-tank. Maybe put in some anti-tank. Like anti-air, I don't think is really as important. I'm not sure. It really, I guess it depends on your meta, but a lot of people seem to lack anti-tank, so they might come up with an awesome theme for an army, but just don't think about like, oh shit, what if they bring a Vindicator? Like, I'm fucking fucked.
Well, it makes me think of it's your specialised list. So, like with Ty, for example, his whole list is pretty much just World Eaters in Spartans, and he just throws infantry down your throat. And it's a very specific list that only plays out one way, usually the wrong way for poor Ty. It's funny you say that because when you mention like going through the fluff and that, I think the atmosphere you're trying to create is rather than just telling people what the rules are for a legion, and which one might do with, say, a 40k, for example, you say, Eldar, for example, they have this, and this going for them, they can be really powerful, blah, blah, blah. You're giving that fluff incentive, the story. You're trying to say to people, if you're going to pick this army, pick it because it's something that appeals to you on this level, not because of the rules. We're going to familiarise you with the rules, but don't make a decision based on the rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I imagine most people just listen to it. They don't like the sound of Legion. They just turn off the rest of the episode and just go, well, listen to that trash. I'm just kidding. But yeah, you definitely want to get people, if you're doing an army, definitely one of the, I think pretty much most people who send in lists to us working on this too, is they choose a legion, but they still might not really understand what units and that sort of thing to really theme it out, maybe. So sometimes we give advice on the theming of an army and that sort of thing, I'm super into themed lists and what's the background for the unit, because sometimes you look at armies, especially looking at any 40k army, you're just like, what is the fucking story here? We had an event on the weekend actually, Inferno 3, and we were at one end of the hall because it's rented out by a gaming group or something, I guess, or a games company. And there was 40k at the other end, and I went around and looked at a list at the armies, and I was like, probably 1 in 10 of them sort of, I was like, oh, there's a coherent theme there. Maybe 2 out of 10, the paint scheme, maybe that's unfair. Maybe half of them, there was a coherent sort of paint scheme. That unit actually looks like they're fighting alongside that unit. They look like they could be drawn together through, having the same bases, that sort of thing. There was one army, and this is what I'm trying to get to. There was one army where it was literally 3 units of 20 basic human Cadian guys, and then this is 1850 points. 3 units of just basic Cadian guys, and I would say probably 8 Space Marine librarians and special characters. So there was Dante, vampire sword guy from the Blood Angels, Tigurius, Commissar Yarrick. There was just all these special characters in these guard units, and that was the whole army. You didn't have any tanks, you didn't have any fucking planes. It was all just super powerful psychic special characters in guard.
Yeah, Unbound has done real wonders for the hobby, hasn't it?
No, I don't even know if it's Unbound. I think you can do that through formations, maybe. You can take
something else has done a lot for the fucking hobby.
Just trying to think of what formation that was and it would be, and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure you can do a conclave of psychers, but then what the fuck would Commissar Yarrick and Dante and shit be? Just conclave of special characters? That's probably what it's called.
I don't know. It's some politically correct diversity thing. You must have X amount of regular human characters in order to fulfill the quota. Preferably an Asian and a black in there, and maybe a couple of women as well.
Yeah, I just want to gender pronoun.
The diversity formation.
It was fucking weird. But yeah, what the fuck were we talking about? Oh, that's right. we're talking about like theming armies and shit. That's fuck, what was the question? I don't even remember the question now. I just talked for like 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Well, it was a fucking long-winded answer. Jesus Christ! But how did you start your podcast? But honest to God, I don't even think you fucking know, man.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Sorry, okay. That was
I used to wear an onion on my belt, as was the fashion at the time.
It just fucking happened, didn't it? One day you just fucking woke up and you just fucking talking into a mic and shit.
I used to say, give me 5.
Just started ranting about shit. It literally did it span out of your fucking hate for 40k? And the fact, did Spite get you there? Did Spite for Games Workshop destroying fantasy, is that what actually pushed you over the edge? And that you wanted to see the same thing not happen to Heresy? You wanted something that you could actually hold on to? I mean, shit.
Or did you want to make it your own?
Okay. So the short answer is we did it basically because we wanted to just have a fucking, like, because I really loved going to those fantasy events, and like, you know, it's fucking awesome. You know, you play 5, like, especially up in Queensland, we would just chain out the games. We'd play like 5. We had events where it was like one day, 5 times 2,500 point fucking fantasy games, shit like that. It was fucking awesome because, like, you know, even though I have people around here, sort of we used to play a lot more. You know, like you only need to play one of those events a month, and you're getting like 4 or 5 games in. Like, it's fucking awesome. So we wanted just more 30k events essentially, and one of the best ways to do that, and one of the things I've been really obsessed with on the show is talking about running events and just like interviewing people who run events and that sort of thing, just to hopefully get more events going. I think we've probably succeeded there a bit because there's definitely more events running. You know, it might have just been that fucking 30k was taking off anyway, but there's definitely like events popping up all over the globe. But in terms of like, why did I get into 30k? We'd pretty much already just ditched 40k. Definitely, like, I've got a Necron army sitting over here, which has fucking done nothing for probably over 12 months, except some of the models we used at Geigenhof. I played one game with the latest Necron book, you know, the new one. Like that, like, you can say all you want about Matt Ward, but those 5th ed books, like the Dark Eldar, the Necron, a couple of the Grey Knights, a couple of the other ones, fucking, I love those books. Like, you could just freeze it in time there. That's basically the 30k rule set. You could just freeze it in time there, go back to that, get rid of all these new formations and shit, and the game would just, I'll get rid of all the new stupid background, and the game would just be fucking way better. I'd probably actually play a few games of that, but yeah, since the new book came out where they changed all the war gear, like, I had custom built models for all the different Necron shit, you know, like, one of my favorite things was Cryptax, so I had like all the different things like Haywire staffs and fucking solar orbs and all this, you know, chronometrons and all that sort of shit, like, all fucking fucking beautifully handcrafted by me here at Eye of Horus Studios. And you know, they just invalidated all that shit. So suck my dick into my shop. I literally played one game using that stupid Decurion thing, and it was my Decurion versus Cecil's Decurion. And in his Decurion, he took the Destroyer manifold thing, and I took our armies were identical, except he took Destroyers and I took 2 Doom Sides, you know, the one with like the Strength 10 AP1 fucking little like ray gun shot.
Yep.
I took that, and he just fucking crushed me. Like, it was just stupid. Like, you know, two like super durable armies just shooting each other, and it's just the way the army played. I just didn't fucking like it. And they got rid of like the one of my other favorite things was like the Catan shards, where you could like customize your own Catan shard, and they got rid of that. They fucking nerfed the monolith. Like, a monolith had been nerfed like literally since the book before the previous one, but in the latest book they got rid of the door, being able to suck people through the door. They changed a couple of other just subtle rules to make it shitter. Like when you couldn't like suck a unit through it and allow them to reroll their reanimation protocols, for example. There's a couple other things. It sounds like sour grapes, I'm sure you've heard worse from Macker about the got the Chaos Codex. But yeah, like
video up now.
Yeah. Good now. But yeah, they just fucked Necrons for me, and that was the final straw because this is one of my favorite armies of all time. This Necron army, like I had background for it. Like one of the main things I do is I have background. Like if you ask me, just look through my collection and go, what's this thing called? I'll tell you. Like most of my vehicles have fucking awesome names, like the Eradicator and fucking all that sort of shit. All my characters have names. I've got fucking backstories and all that sorts of shit. Cause I'm just like a super fucking nerd, obviously. And you know they did that to my Necron army, which I was pissed off. That's what broke my camel's back. But before that, we can go back to Macca's favorite topic, which is the 5th ed one, where you had all the legions, you know, and I had a massive Emperor's Children army, all fucking noise marines, like 6 dudes with a blast master, 6 dudes with a blast master. You know, I had some dreadnoughts with sonic weapons. I had like all these Slanesh demons, like the fucking sick army. And basically they took that away and went, hey, yeah, nice fucking sick army, like fucking playing super fun games and shit against other legions and stuff. You're gonna have this just total shit pile with like robo pterodactyl fire breathing shit, like these like just like a hippopotamus that has like fucking miniguns for arms, like extra like 6 arms, and the other just got 4 legs on the ground and then shoulder arms, and those shoulder arms have miniguns and like a fucking iguanodon head, like just all this total dog shit. Like what the fuck? I just can't. I didn't even understand. But one of the reasons I got into the Noise Marines, because do you remember like the early to mid noughties where Games Workshop really went to shit? Remember they used to be like a Australian studio and an American studio, and they had just tons of content coming out, and it was like fucking glory days.
Oh,
and then they just fired. Yeah. And then they just fired like all the overseas people, and then there was just like, you know, fuck, I just stopped playing. I definitely stopped playing then for years and years and years, and you know, I sort of got back into it. With my fucking sick Noise Marine army. That's right. That's what got me back into it. So I played that for about a year, and then they fucking just took it away. So, and then I was just like, well, fuck you. Basically just didn't play 40k, went over to fantasy for ages, and then while playing fantasy, that new Necron book came out, did Necrons, and then they took that away as well. So it's just very strange. I just don't understand how they can just get shit so wrong. Like, I don't know, it just seems very strange. Like, obviously, like, Forge World, totally different story. Forge World, fucking awesome. Release new shit every week. Have fucking awesome books. You know, sometimes their rules aren't watertight, but who gives a fuck? You can just figure that out on the on the tabletop, because almost every fucking person I've played fucking Heresy against, or pretty much everyone, I couldn't even name you someone who I thought was a cocksmoker. Everyone's fucking cool, and you know, like after playing competitive fantasy for so long, now when I go to play 30k, if someone sort of says something that's wrong or I think might be wrong, I'm like, I don't know, you might want to check that. And if they're just like, no, I'm right, I'm just like, okay, cool, let's just fucking keep going. You know, so I'll just fucking, if someone like argues about something, or if I do something and they think I'm wrong, I'm like, okay, cool, do you want to just 4+ it? Like, I don't give a fuck. If you want to play like a game where everyone gets their fucking protractor out and all that sort of shit, I've done that. I've done that for years and years playing Warhammer Fantasy. Like, I can get out the rule book and we can go through step by step every single rule if you want, but I don't think it's going to be as fun as just like shooting fucking huge fusillades of weapons. That's one of my favorite things. After playing fantasy, one of my favorite things in fantasy was just like, I had a dwarf army, just having like 20 crossbowmen and just rolling 20 dice and just being like, yeah, just laying waste. But the problem is in that game, like almost all basic shooting was just fucking shit. Like my 20 dwarf crossbowmen, they're only ballistic skill 3. There was all these negative modifiers for hitting anything. So if you're shooting at long range, you're at -1, so you're hitting on 5 straight up. If you moved, you're at -1 to hit. So if you move and shoot, or you couldn't do it with crossbows. You couldn't do it with crossbows anyway. If there was like just a fucking bush in between you and some Bretonnian knights, for example, and they were over 12 inches, you're at -2 to hit. So you're only hitting on fucking 6s. And then your strength 4, cool, so you're winning on 3, so that, you've only hit 4 times. Oh, yeah, I got 3 wounds. And then they're like, okay, cool, what's that neg 1? So I've got a 2+ armor save against it. Oh, guess what? You killed nothing. But in Heresy, like, you've got fucking Volkite Culverins, you've got fucking Myrmidon Destructors with Graviton Imploders. You can actually do range shooting, which is fucking mega. Like, oh, nice Terminators, motherfucker. Here, have some Graviton Imploders. Just crumple them down. You can do like awesome Way to Fire. Like one of the best things in fantasy is Way to Fire, and fucking Heresy is like fucking awesome for that. Volkite Culverins, heavy boulder teams, fucking autocannon teams, fucking just tons of different shit for Mechanicum, like Castellax and that sort of thing.
It's funny you bring that up. Sorry to cut you off there, Tim. As I'm recording, I'm sort of scrolling through Games Workshop's web pages. And as you were talking about your Necrons, I was just going over a few of the units for people who may be watching the video and not just listening to us. And I went, oh yeah, he's talking about dwarves, and talking about your dwarf army. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just pull up some pictures of dwarves. So I open up the Warhammer Age of Sigmar page, and I'm like, okay, Order Grand Alliance. Okay, that'll be dwarves in there for sure. I open that up, and then there's like 20 fucking options, and I'm looking through, and it's like, Daughters of Cain, no, that's not them. Shadow Blades, that's not them. Order Serpent. What the fuck am I looking? Where's dwarf? Just say dwarf. What the fuck? Yeah. Where's the fucking dwarves?
So, I know where they are, Macca.
I found Fire Slayers.
Total War, Warhammer, the Steam
yeah.
game.
Just on
that. Yeah. Did you buy that, Tim, or no?
No, I haven't played it. I haven't played it at all. Like,
you're that into fantasy. You don't buy that, but you buy inaccurate. Awful Battlefield 1. Did you feel bad about yourself?
You, dude. No, okay, well, I got an answer for that, which is I've played, I've played most of the Total War games going back. Remember the one that was like, fucking the medieval Total War 1? Remember that one where all the units were like only 2-dimensional kind of thing? It was like really fucking insane.
Yeah, it was real sick. You could get Inquisitors to kill like tens of thousands of people. It was awesome.
Yeah. And do you remember the Barbarian expansion? Remember that one where it was just like England and you had and remember Berserkers in that where it was just 12 dudes and you could send them into like 100 peasants and they would just solo them all, just fuck you, just kill them all. That game was the bomb. Yeah, so I played pretty much every single one since then except for the Shogun 2 or whatever it is, the samurai one.
That was actually a really good one, Shogun.
Myself. Nah.
Yeah,
it was better than Rome. Rome 2, that is.
Yeah, Rome 2 was just let me down. I don't know.
Agreed. It was very bad, and they were.
And the DLC.
Attila was what Rome 2 should have been, and they admitted that. But it also paved the way for how good Warhammer Total War is at the moment. And it isn't perfect.
You mentioned DLC. Warhammer Total War suffers pretty badly from DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what else does? Fucking anything from Games Workshop. So fucking, you want to fucking melt a gun with that? Well, sorry, cunt.
You know what? Actually, I've got Battlefleet Gothic on PC, and the game has its flaws, but
is a lot better.
They've given me like all the fleet options. All I did was pay like $40 or something for the game, or I don't remember. Probably got it at a Steam sale, and I've got like Tower Marines, fucking Eldar, Orcs, Chaos. I got all like the fleets that they've released. I haven't had to pay for any DLC yet, so it's got that going for it.
Can you get a deal like that with a fantasy one? Because
not yet. And then they've only got 6 races. I think Beastmen, Empire, Dwarves, Chaos, Vampires, and
copyright pending.
I think they just had Beastmen come out or some shit, but and they have all their little bits and pieces, and they're like $1 here, $2 there, $4 here. So I think they're looking at Skaven. They're adding in more and more stuff as it goes. I get eventually there'll be some sort of gold pack edition, and they'll re-release it. But it is good, and it plays like the tabletop, except everything's fucking painted, and you don't have to look at the motherfucker across the table.
For the record, I did manage to find Beastmen. I did manage to find Beastmen in the Games Workshop web store. They are now called Bray Herds because maximum copyright.
I think they were already called. I think they were already called Greyhawk. Well, it was just nomenclature within their list. But yeah, like, dude, I'll tell you what. Fucking the reason I haven't played medieval. Oh, sorry, I haven't played fucking Fantasy Total War is because Rome 2, like everything was fucking DLC. So one of the major things that like the Romans fucking did was just invade Greece basically. Like none of the Greek states were like fleshed out. Everything was just sort of basically fleshed out. And then so you'd be playing the campaign at launch and everything was just kind of like, the units are all pretty much the same. And then over the next like 12 months, they released like these packs for like, here's the one for Greece. So you can actually have Greek specific, specific units and that sort of thing. Like there was no like, there wasn't like faction specific units until you bought the DLC to upgrade it. So basically if you bought the game within the first 12 months, you're basically just buying a shell. And then 12 months later you could buy all the add-ons and actually play a decent game. But, I can't support that shit, so I'm not buying fucking Total War. Even though Fantasy's fucking awesome, but I don't know. Fantasy's dead now, man. Like, fucking Games Workshop murdered it. They didn't only murder
you really moved on. It's just like the fucking...
Yeah, dude.
Well, like, no, that's it. No, we're done. You just... No, your shit's in the fucking dumpster if you want it. That's it. You've totally...
You only get one bite at this biscuit. Yeah. You only get one bite at this biscuit.
Fuck, man. Let's hope 30k doesn't go the same way, shall we?
I said before the show, a lot of people still in Warhammer and Age of Sigmar, they're like abused housewives. You know, they could leave at any time, but they just keep coming back for more. Someone's going to complain about that.
Well, it is relatively accurate. I don't know. It's very strange. Like, Forge World's a completely different kettle of fish, which is the weird thing, because, like, Forge World, the way Forge World is basically, like, how Games Workshop used to be in the late 90s, which was, like, the fucking golden years, you know? Like they would, like, they had, although the latest White Dwarf does have, like, a mailbag section, they used to have, like, mail, they used to, like, have stories and shit, like, in White Dwarf, you know? You would, like, constantly get all this cool shit. Like, they even had forums and that sort of thing. I don't know. It just seems like Forge World, it has sort of embraced the spirit of the old Games Workshop, and thank God it's a sort of like a separate entity, I guess. I don't know how much of a separate entity it is. I don't really know that much about it. I know it's a bunch of dudes in a shed at Nottingham, you know, like making fucking sick miniatures and typing out fucking awesome rules. Like I literally have no idea how it runs. I just don't give a fuck. Like, when people, you see those posts where someone's like, oh yeah, well I heard that like Steven's assistant, blah blah blah, and you're like, fucking who cares? All these people that try and dissect the fucking, the financials of the company, and they're like, oh look, they're bleeding fucking collateral, and like say all this stupid shit. You're like, dude, why the fuck do you care? Like, you're just wasting your time, just trying to get attention for just like picking on something about Games Workshop's like inner workings or something. I don't know. That just seems very strange. The main focus for me, obviously, now is just like Forge World and what they're doing. You're saying all this shit about the website. Games Workshop mainstream website. I've literally been on there probably 2 times, and it was once when I was trying to get on there to see if I could buy or see how much whirlwinds were, because I wanted to buy some whirlwinds for my auto reductor army to run as auto reductor artillery units. And there was another time where I got on there to order. It was actually at Games Workshop, because I went in and I was like, okay, I need to buy a night base, and I thought their fucking store would sell a night base. And no, you cannot buy just a night base in a Games Workshop store. You can't just ask them to get you a night base like you used to be able to back in the 90s, or back fucking when I used to go into Games Workshop, I guess. You can't just ask them to order it in. You have to go to the website, like their own company's website, at the front of their shop, and fucking find the thing on their shitty fucking website, and then order it, and then get it delivered to the store. So, and then it's free postage. So I did that. So that's the 2 times I've been on their fucking shit site since they shut it down. Or since remember the old one? Like, fucking was awesome.
I remember the 90s one when I first, like, when the internet was first becoming a thing, and they first had, like, their original web store. And, like, you got, like, a single picture of each unit, but they showed you every unit in an army, and it was laid out in the Force sections.
Yeah.
Like,
you could find it. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it was like one click and you were where you needed to be, whereas now you've got to, like, tick fucking 8 boxes on the left to narrow it down a bit, and then it's a clusterfuck. This new website, I was pissed when they changed Forge World's website to this. I was like, whoever designed this fucking website's autistic or something. They're an autistic savant, and they're fucking it's complete OCD.
Well, the entire thing is just the whole thing is just slanted towards you just buying a thing, like not like here's the cool worlds that we've fucking developed, and like here's some rad shit. They just wanted to have a more efficient fucking web store, and so to do that, because the way that they built the website, they just hadn't built it the way that they wanted to run their fucking thing, and so they had to redo their site, and they just chose to do it in the most like soulless fucking shithead fucking way. So like I think they actually changed that site while we had our podcast. And I remember, like, the first couple of times, just, like, on the show live, I was trying to go to something to fucking talk about it, and I just lost my shit. So I think you can probably hear me other than those other 2 times I just talked about, you can probably hear the last, like, time that I regularly went to this store just by listening to our episodes, because I'm just so fucking pissed with it. And, like, there's a lot of people online that will just say some shit like, oh, never get into fucking Age of Sigmar, fucking fantasy, old world for life, and then you see them fucking playing fucking Age of Sigmar. That is not me. When I say some fucking shit, especially if I say it in a podcast in front of thousands of people, I will not fucking do it. I will not play Age of Sigmar. I read the rules. I went, no, thank you. You can fucking bash that up your ass. Like, I'm not playing that. Get fucked. So I've still got my fantasy armies. We still play some 8th every now and then. But yeah, no, I'm not playing Age of Sigmar. And 40k, and like I said, I'm not going back to the website. Like, I can't see you scrolling through the pages. Unfortunately, because it's probably...
Oh, you're not missing much.
Yeah.
You're really not missing much.
Not unfortunately, then.
So did you ever end up getting one of those fucking Centurion limited edition releases from Games Workshop? The $70 miniature? It's got a big, I think you described it as a whale-killing blade.
Yeah,
Did you ever end up getting one of them?
It's like one of those huge knives and a stick that I dismember whales with. No, I did not. I got one for Michael.
Okay, that's good. At least you are pretty okay with that. So I'm guessing you didn't get the White Dwarf either then. It just came out.
No, I'm definitely not getting the White Dwarf. I got I think when that thing had come out, I was going to buy it, but then I was just like at the last minute, I was like, I don't know, like because I've got a Mechanicum army, I've got all the shit to make a Space Marine army, but I've built everything. I've built a few things. I've built a few units to do some basing, and then I changed my mind about what shoulder pads I want to use or what heads I want to use. And then you got to order them and wait for them to come from Forge World, and it takes fucking forever. So I haven't really pulled the trigger entirely on a Marine army, and I've already got from I won like what was it? Won something. Oh, because the Loyalists won the first Emperor's Legion tournament. All the Loyalists won like a free Praetor set, like that was one of the prizes. So I've already got like a couple of sort of Artificer armor dudes, and I've got Terminator dudes, so I didn't really need it, but I did buy one for Michael. And they totally these dudes in that store like totally honey-dicked us in too, because we went in and we were like, oh, how many are you getting in? And they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe 15, like better come in the store if you want one. So I went in that day because they suddenly changed it the week before. They suddenly changed the day from like the Saturday to the Friday, and then we just tried to create this sort of false panic or something. It was very strange. So anyway, after work I was like, okay, I know Michael wants one. He's got his heart set on it. I'll drive over there after work and get one. And I went in the store and there was like fucking 80 of these things on the shelves. Just like, oh, you fucking pricks. And also, I was in that store. This is Games Workshop Games Workshop Chermside. And I was looking at one of their unpainted Bloodthirsters, which was just sitting on the bench, and it had a little, like a piece of fuzz or something on it, like on its face. So I sort of like pulled it had like a piece of just fluff or something off, like a just piece of, I don't know, of a jumper or some shit, like on its face. And I sort of like carefully just like pulled it off. And the fucking manager was like, oh, can you please not touch the models? And I was just like, what the fuck? And I just stared at him, and I was like, what the hell? Nah, fuck you. I'd already paid for that model. If I hadn't already paid for it, I would just walked out. That's ridiculous. Why would you? Like, I'm a fucking adult, for Christ's sake. I was like, that's just not what Games Workshop is, or not is to me. Like, I'm sure if I went down to Forge World, they'd let me touch anything I wanted down there.
Would they let you touch Alan Bly? Because I want to touch Alan Bly. I want to rub his stomach.
Oh, I don't know. I want to, like, yeah, I don't know. Nah, I don't think you can actually. I'm not talking about going into the offices. I'm talking about like the store. That's what.
I'd rub him off to get my fucking Prospero book. So my Thousand Suns have rules. I would cup the balls, stroke the shaft. You fucking name it, Alan. I'm there, mate.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what you'd end up doing for it. You'd fucking love that, and you'd still be fucking disappointed with the end product. Now, for
Alan's end product, or
oh, dude, you'd be interested in that, but the book itself, you'd be pretty pissed off about. Either way, you're going to be pretty pissed off with it. Now, let's just be that clear. Now, for people listening, that's Churnside in Brisbane. Don't get that confused with Victoria, or I don't know if there's a fucking Churnside in Alaska or something. That's in Brisbane or Queensland.
Yeah. So just over that store now. Yeah, I haven't been back. I've been to that shopping centre tons of times and just pushed my daughter in a pram and just been like, look straight ahead, don't look in there.
Yeah, man.
I'm not supporting that store anymore. That's a weird thing to do, right? Like ask like an adult not to touch a thing. Like no.
Yeah, it seems like what a person should have done was walked up to you and use it as a sales point. Any other normal person trying to make money. Yeah. In any case, how often do you actually fucking think of heresy then? Since like obviously, you have a partner and you've got a kid, you have a normal job. That obviously gets in the way, but how often do you, from waking up to going to sleep, how often does heresy consist of your life at the moment?
Well, just all day long, mate. I don't know. I'm constantly sort of thinking about different lists and shit for my Mechanicum and like sort of like constantly doing like list hammering up different ideas and things for different armies. Like I've got Quartermaster, like, you guys probably met Sean at Geigenhive, Sean, who's Quartermaster. Yeah. I've got a copy of Quartermaster, and I've got so many lists on here, man. Like, there isn't like a thing that counts, but I can just scroll for like, scroll, like on my iPhone for like 10 scroll. Like, there must be like 200 different army lists on here, all named different shit.
Fucking hell.
Because I'm constantly just like, what if I ran? Because I'm really into themed lists, so you think like, especially when those new Rites of War came out, I'd probably do like 2 or 3 different alternate lists for each Rite of War, just thinking about like, how's the best way to run Immortals, that sort of thing. Every event that I go to, I've got 2 or 3 different lists for that. So if I just scroll to I, this is just for Space Marines. And I never even ran Space Marines at any of the 8 Infernos. But I've got Inferno 2016 Zone Mortalis, Inferno 2016 1500 Zone Mortalis copy, which is like a copy of the original, which has some changes. I've got another copy of that copy, which has some changes. Just an Inferno 2 2016 Space Marine list, a Inferno ZM 1000 point plus 500 attack. Like, there's 7 lists just for Inferno, and I never even ran Space Marines there. Like my Mechanicum list thing just goes for like fucking pages and pages of shit, because I've just, every event, like I probably do, just thinking about the different Rites of War, and for the show as well, sometimes we get an email where someone asks us to do a list or something like that. Just thinking of different ways of running Solar Auxilia, for example. I'm constantly doing some list hammer. Keeps me off fucking going on Facebook and being a prick,
How do you generate your lists? Like me personally, I come up with a concept, usually a fluffy concept. Then I go, what units would I like to see? Then I go into the books and try and make it happen. Is that how you approach your lists, or do you do something different?
I really fucking the two things that drive my list are, first of all, when I see some fucking awesome models. I'm definitely either I read some fucking cool fluff and I'm like, how would I make a list based around that? Or there's some fucking sick models, like for Immortals, for example, the Iron Hands Immortals. Like I was just like, fuck, these are so good. Like I've got a bunch of Immortals lists on here. When they brought out that company of Bid Orion, where you could take Immortals as troops, I was just like, holy shit, super hard on for Heresy. Did a bunch of lists for that. But with the auto reductor, which is what my whole army, or my main sort of army is based around. I've got sort of small auxiliary armies from the Cybernetica and just like just basic Tagmata sort of Myrmidon themed list. And a sort of Lacrimata Thrall based fucking list and that sort of thing. I sort of there wasn't really that much background for the Order Reductor, so I sort of just used what minimal background they had to come up with ideas. And like one of the ideas was obviously Thalax, and luckily they talked Thalax up a lot in book 1 and 2 and that sort of thing. So as being Order Reductor themed, which is good, which paid off because in the when they brought out the Order Reductor special Rite of War, it's not a Rite of War, it's kind of like a Rite of War. It's like a variant army list, I guess. You had there was compulsory Thalax, so that was cool. But the other thing that after reading through the books, one of the other things I gleaned about the Order Reductor was that the Order Reductor and the Imperial Fist together had developed the Land Raider Achilles. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So there was an entry for the Mechanicum Land Raider. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, if they invented the Achilles, like a macro-arid explorator, or what is now a macro-arid explorator, and used to be just called simply a Mechanicum Land Raider, has a flare shield, and you can give it armored ceramite. That's pretty cool, pretty advanced. These guys came together and sort of came up with the Land Raider Achilles. The Land Raider, Mechanicum Land Raider could have custom weapons. So basically, I got a couple of Land Raider Achilles and built them up as Mechanicum Land Raiders. And because it was sort of Space Marine themed, I sort of added a few extra Space Marine sort of units. Like I bought when the Order Reductor list came out, you could take Medusa weapon. So I bought some of the Astartes pattern Medusas, and also I've got a Storm Eagle too, because you can take a suborbital strike wing, which can be it can be a 4 hull point or more vehicle. 4 hull point or more flyer, so you've got a Storm Eagle. I'm getting a Fire Raptor as well. But it's all so the theme of the army essentially is Thalax as the basic troops, and then sort of like the Order Reductor just basically like when they fight alongside the Marines, one of the things they do is, we helped you storm this citadel and got you some cool shit. We need some Rhinos to replace our losses, and we need some Land Raider compatible fucking engine parts and that sort of thing. So if they're fighting along Astartes, why wouldn't they use, Astartes compatible shit? So, as well as that, Thalax also have some like their parts compatible with Astartes power armor apparently to some extent. So, that's an army where I took like the theme and built a list around it, and then my Lacrimata list, which is all thralls, like we've got 80 thralls and Triaros and shit to convey them in. That was where I just really loved thralls, so I just painted a fuckload of thralls, and now I've got an army based around thralls because I like this model. So they're the two ways that I do armies anyway. I guess like you could be like, I like the way this army plays in the table. There's probably a third sort of acceptable option for me would be if somebody's already and especially this happened in fantasy where you might have an army that's all close combat, and you might have an army that's got, like say for example, I had a demon army. And then I had a vampire army, which is all magic, and a demon army, which is all close combat. I might be like, I'm going to do an elf army because that's all shooting. I would accept that as an excuse to do an army. Is I really like tanks, so I'm going to do an Iron Hands army. But yeah, definitely liking the models and liking the background should probably come first, I think. I don't know. How do you guys feel? What about you, Kat? I feel like you're interviewing me, and I should be interviewing you. Maybe you guys
that's not how that works. That's a fucking security risk, mate.
We're the kiss of death for your show, mate. You bring us both on.
Fuck that.
Yeah, you thought your listeners were going to drop for appearing on our show. You wait to see how much they fucking drop when we go on your show.
Yeah, it'll be great. I'm sure Michael will be all for it. Michael fucking loves you guys.
You'll be like...
So with that...
Oh, no,
sorry, with the army list, you got the army lists and shit, and you did that. You've painted up thralls. See, I always thought you just got Michael to do all your shit. To tell you the truth, you did most of the podcast stuff while he paints it all up. But he was doing the actual airbrushing.
Like he'd airbrush all the future metal and stuff, and then I would do the oiling and then do all the weathering and do the bases and all the boring shit.
Okay. Yeah.
But he did fully paint like Cheetahberg, which is my night Astropath. He was going to be away for a bit, and there was a few events that were coming up, and because I do all my painting 2 weeks before an event, I was like a fucking holy shit, I better get this done. I better get this. I put this on one of my 16 lists into fucking effect. I was like, oh shit, I panicked, and then so I had to go. So I went and bought because I already had my own airbrush, but I didn't really have a good compressor, so I went and bought a good compressor, and I was like, okay, come around, and then so I made Ajax come around too, and Michael just basically did a fucking what's that movie with Damon Wayans where he's like a fucking drill sergeant, Major Payne, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he basically just major pained us while we the fucking airbrush shit, and he just rapped on us with sticks and shit like that until we fucking could just airbrush real good. And yeah, so now I do most of my own stuff. But if I do get some sort of prize model, I'm saving up some money for something big, and I don't know if it's gonna be Mastodon from these black shields that I've got. I don't know if it's gonna be Mastodon for a World Eaters Army, because I want to do that MKA painting thing next year hopefully. So I don't know if I want to buy that, or if I want to just fucking shoot my wad, and when the Nightport Firearm comes out, get that fucking motherfucker and see if Michael will paint that, which I'm pretty sure it will.
That thing is pretty much the size of a Warhound, so it's going to be a fair fucking effort, man.
Well, he was going to paint a Warhound for me. I was going to get a Warhound for Geigenhype. I was thinking of getting a Warhound, and he was on board to paint that up, Tiger's Eyes, so it was Legio Furion.
Yep.
But it just didn't happen. The timing didn't work, and he ended up being away a week or week and a half before Geigenhype as well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd be up for paint. Well, it depends how. You just need to wait, Forge World. I know you're listening to these guys, but you need to wait at least a month, or just wait until you hear that Michael's finished his Mastodon, and then you can drop the per firearm, and then I'll buy it and I'll get Michael.
The only guys from Forge World listening to us, mate, are the legal team gathering evidence for the trial, so.
Yeah, and all they care about is fucking what times we go to sleep, so they can fucking do a nab and grab. Anyways, so that's your long-term goal, your world leaders and shit like that. So what are you doing hobby-wise in the short term? What are you working on now?
So we just had Inferno 3 2016, which was the last Inferno ever. It was run by Adam Wiseman up here. I think, Maka, you came up for one of them last year.
2 of them.
Did you come up for... Oh, 2 of them.
I did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I did 2 Infernos last year with Iron Warriors. One was the singles and one was the doubles.
Right.
So I kept true to form, where the first time I played Michael ever was in 40k, and I won that game. The next time we played was 30k, and he won that game. And then the next time we played, I won. So I've got to not play him ever again, because rule of thumb is he's going to beat me the next time out. So.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to even that up. Hey, Kat, did you know that when Macca came up to Brisbane to play in Inferno, his partner was a legit stage magician?
Yeah, I heard something like that. Yeah, he was going to do something with the dice and shit. Yeah, we seized the initiative again somehow.
To be fair, the only spells he cast on dice that whole weekend was turning 6s into 1s for himself. Jason was having a hard time of it, eh? He copped a flogging in nearly every match we played.
Yeah, he was too busy pulling handkerchiefs out of his nose and turning, fucking rabbits out of hats and shit. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember us getting spanked, but I also remember that my Mechanicum Land Raider with my big Myrmidon unit of fucking Graviton employed dudes, which them plus the Land Raider plus the Archmagos with them was probably about 950 points on my 2,000 point list. Just didn't come on until turn 4. I remember that too. That was a bit of a setback.
Yeah, I was running that really hard Alpha Strike list. I was running the hard half of the army. Yeah. Jason was running all the infantry, the troops, and I was running mass turn 1 re-rolling no scatter fucking Terminators. Because it'll balance out if one half of the list is really soft and one half is brutal in your face. It should even itself out. So it was first term, first turn of the game, Tim set up, and he's like, oh, yeah, this ain't going to be so bad. Then it was like, fucking doof, fucking 40 Terminators in his deployment zone. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, like 10 of those were Siege Tyrants. You know what also happened in that game? Michael had some mega bad luck, is he charged, 15 breaches plus a Primus Medicae plus his Praetor into a Contemptor Mortis Dreadnought, which only had one arm. Not that it mattered in combat, because it just had its only two strength 6 kicks. And all of those dudes, and all of those guys had melter bombs. All those dudes didn't fucking kill the Mortis Dread, and it kicked one dude to death. And then Michael's unit of fucking 16 fucking hard hitter leadership 10 fucking cunts failed their leadership test, and then he was like, oh wait, we've got this little standard thing here, let's re-roll it. Re-rolled it, failed it again, and the Mortis Dreadnought ran them all down.
Well, what do you expect from fists, though? Seriously, like when the fucking going gets tough, the fists get fisted, man. It's just not a thing.
You could see it in Michael's face, the crushing disappointment of what happened.
Yeah.
But it's
I
might wrap it up there because we've ticked over an hour now. We'll come back for a second half after we've had a bit of a break while this renders. And we might be a bit more candid, get your true feelings on Games Workshop, get it out of the system. We treat this as group therapy. Mm-hmm. And
I'm an open book. Like I've said all this stuff. Like none of this stuff is controversial. Like I've said this all before. Like if a company is just doing stupid shit, like the way the Games Workshop has for a lot of the time, you just fucking show them by boycotting that shit. Like although I'm still spending money on Forge World. You're not learning a lesson, but I'll talk more on that later. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all
right. So Tim's from the Eye of Horus podcast. Obviously, it's being displayed on my screen at the moment. It's over on SoundCloud. Go check them out. They've got some pretty cool merch as well. Stickers. They love handing out stickers that you can just put anywhere you like on bumpers and people's cars and all over their property and over their miniatures, and take photos of it. You can also email
over their mouth when they talk about 40k.
Exactly. When they rock up to one of those tournaments with just like a Warhound Titan and that's their whole army. Yep, if I can put stickers on that shit. Check out their channel. There's some great stuff on there. You can write into them. The guys will give you great feedback, and they're really down to earth. Like you can see what Tim's like here today. So, thanks for coming on, Tim.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
And we'll talk to you more in part 2.